So the background on this is, for those who don't know, in 2018, President Trump, back in office, signed the Farm Bill, which authorized industrial hemp for commercial purposes, which resulted in the development of the consumable hemp program in Texas and, hemp-derived cannabinoids being sold across the country. So based on that, which then Texas passed their own law in 2019, authorizing consumable hemp products for sale in the state. And that's kind of like the background that has led us to this report where they want to undo or unravel.
And Texas adopted most of what happened on the federal side, if not all of it. And so when the federal government legalized hemp and everything from hemp, including psychoactive cannabinoids, Texas legalized it too. So there is no loophole. People love to use that word and say there's a loophole. It's fully legal. If it was not fully legal, we would be in jail. So charge number 5, banning Delta 8 and Delta 9. This is stemming from the Lieutenant Governor's interim charges. So obviously he's anti-hemp, pro-Texas medical marijuana program.
Yes, I think that's fair.
Which doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but sure, okay. So this is essentially giving some background context on the Farm Bill and sort of how we got here.
It says, although the FDA has continued to maintain that it is unlawful to add hemp-derived cannabinoids to food or to market cannabinoids, including CBD as an ingredient in foods, blah, 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 they neglect to mention that the TICA program, which is the legislators who want to shut hemp down apparently are champions of the medical marijuana program, they are sold as food too. So we're off to a great start. We're doing great. Also, the report says marijuana remains illegal for recreational use in Texas with possession of up to 2 ounces, classified as a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to 180 days in jail and or a fine up to $2,000. Interestingly, here they don't say except for teacup.
Quote, a legal loophole emerged when the federal Farm Bill legalized hemp or cannabis with less than 0.3% Delta 9 THC. So right off the bat, bullshit. So this wasn't a legal loophole. If you go back and read the Farm Bill, Lewis can pull up the exact language on the Farm Bill. It legalizes everything from hemp. There's no ambiguity, there's no loophole, there's no confusion. And
purpose.
Texas adopted those rules and enacted them in HB 1325.
Correct.
Therefore, all of those things are legal in Texas. This isn't a loophole. If this was illegal, they would be arresting people, not trying to fix it legislatively. That's not a loophole. That's a law, and it's legal.
Even more interesting is it says, beyond this definition, there's, it says the only distinction made between what is legal and illegal. Beyond this definition, there is substantively no difference between hemp and marijuana, except that one is legal and one is illegal. That is literally the whole point of having a law that legalizes something. So,
this hurts my brain.
I didn't have enough coffee today.
The market for hemp rope, fabric, and other non-ingestible products was slow to develop. It wasn't slow to develop. Nobody cares about those products. Like, let's be real. There's not a huge market for them.
That's in some either utopian or dystopian future in the future.
Like, I would love to buy insulation for my house that's made out of hemp. Where?
Yeah.
Hempcrete? Where can I buy it?
That's a whole other video, by the way. Anyway, so it also says Delta 8 products are usually derived from CBD and are made through the use of harmful chemicals, while Delta 9 products are made through the naturally occurring compound in the plant. So they're not harmful chemicals, and this is one of those stupid talking points that everybody uses over and over, and nobody stops to investigate. It's unbelievable. And so you'll get media coverage that says, oh my God, they're using, cut it out.
As a result of the abuse of legislative intent of federal and state law, these psychoactive products
to federal intent
are currently on the market in Texas.
They would have had to poll every single legislator to know what federal intent was. And I don't even think they've even polled the entire Texas legislature.
Well, the comedy of this is the people that are saying that it's a loophole are literally the people that signed it into law to make it legal. Let's go into the next fun one. Questionable testing of products. Because marijuana has had no issues in testing their products whatsoever throughout the country, finding Chinese pesticides in them.
Wait.
We aren't going to talk about that.
Because the participants in the Texas medical marijuana program do their own testing and self-report.
With no oversight?
What could go wrong?
What are you talking about? Who would create a state program with no oversight that involves psychoactive drugs? But here we are.
I mean, I guess, the story develops depending on the narrator, right? Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Only the hemp industry has to use third-party independent labs.
That is correct.
There have been numerous documented instances of products across the state that allege to be within the legal limits of THC that have instead contained potent levels of the psychoactive compound. The lack of surety of a hemp-derived product's THC levels makes these products potentially dangerous. I have yet to see a product on the Texas market that doesn't have a COA.
Well, what's interesting, I agree with you.
And it's required.
I know,
It's
it's
required
the
by
law.
It's regulated. Again, back to the loophole thing. How is it a loophole if it's regulated and by law it's required to be product tested?
Why don't we get t-shirts that say testing? It's the law.
Oh, and let's talk about the Department of Agriculture going into stores to certify their scales for hemp.
For hemp flower. For hemp flower, yeah.
I can't with these people.
So it says products that are being manufactured or handled in a manner that creates a public health hazard for people who may use them can be detained. Okay, if you're finding products that are non-compliant or are hazardous, by all means, detain them. I'm not sure how that translates into a ban, right? Also, it says here, there have been numerous documented instances of products across the state that allege to be within the legal limits of THC that have instead contained potent levels of the psychoactive compound. I don't think we released the video, but you and I, Louis, we did a video one time where we went through the Texas Poison Control website. They did not identify any hemp-derived cannabinoids as being everything was classified as marijuana, all of it was. And at the time, I haven't been back to look at it because the site was a hot mess, but it was marijuana, synthetic or semi-synthetic, which is not a real thing, and then synthetic. And none of it was hemp-derived cannabinoid products. So not sure where this came from, but okay. Lack of age restriction.
I want this one.
You got that? Okay.
So, age restrictions. We have been attempting to get age restrictions passed for multiple sessions now. There are certain politicians that have fought this and prevented those from going through. I won't quote them directly because I wasn't in the room whenever they said anything, but I have been told that the reason our age gates were denied and essentially not allowed to pass is because it would give credibility to our industry. Think about that for a second. We have been trying, even though the Texas legislature, when they passed HB 1325, didn't put an age gate on the hemp products, we've been trying to, and we're not being allowed to. And now they're saying that that's one of the reasons they want to outlaw these products. That is insanity. And I love that they're mentioning all these supposed children getting their hands on the products, but where's the proof? Have they got anything? Why would you say that and not give proof? Show me how children have gotten these products.
You know how I always say,
every store that I've been in, age gates. They all age gate the stores. It's not legally required. This industry is doing it anyways, despite these people and their nonsense.
Listen, you know how I always talk about how like a lot of marketing is word salad and people word salad you to death and that kind of thing. So there's a sentence here.
By the way, children and adolescents also experience serious effects from exposure. Can we talk? The Texas medical program prescribes to children. How do you say that when you've got an industry, a group that's prescribing these products to children?
That's an excellent point. Another point I would like to make, because that other point was not the point. This is the point. Children make up the largest demographic of cannabinoid poison center calls in Texas. That's your word salad. You're talking about hemp-derived cannabinoid products, but then you talk about cannabis-related poisonings. You're just trying to muddy the water here. Why don't you get super specific?
And so let's talk about Teacup, right? Teacup has companies that are prescribing these cannabis to children. What training have the Teacup doctors gone through? What training, if anything, have they gone through to be able to prescribe to kids? None. Nothing. No Teacup doctor has gone through any training whatsoever for this.
They actually go through a 4-year program where they're quizzed every other week and there's tests and they have to get continuing ed credit. I'm just kidding. None of that happens.
So none of the doctors that are prescribing to children in Teacup have been trained on this stuff. They have no clue what they're doing. I'm just going to call out the whole program at this point because I know enough about the program to where these doctors are not trained. They do not know what they're doing. You had one doctor that made 10,000 prescriptions in 1 year. 10,000?
How much money is that? It's $120 or $125?
It's $100 a pop. It's like $1 million. There's a doctor making $1 million on prescribing this stuff. So 10,000 prescriptions, 10,000 prescriptions divided by, all right, let's exclude weekends and holidays. Let's say there's like, what, 260, 270 days? Let's say 270. 10,000 divided by 270. This guy's writing 37 prescriptions a day. Let's say there's 8 hours in a work day. He's writing a prescription almost every 10 minutes.
That is a hardworking dude.
Non-stop, Monday through Friday, all year long. And
that's a hardworking guy.
Has no training. No training. None of the doctors in Teacup have any training on these products.
So
they're
maybe
just
the
blindly
poison
writing
control
prescriptions.
calls are all from this doctor writing prescriptions to children.
Probably.
He's supplying the entire state, apparently.
I am going to read you a list of conditions, and I want you to tell me if you have these conditions from drinking. You ready?
Yeah.
Brain health, heart health implications, impaired driving, lung implications, social anxiety, depression, schizophrenia. Does alcohol affect any of those things?
It does all of that except for lung health. But
Okay.
if you inhale alcohol, it could probably do that too.
Well, here's my question. Why isn't this kind of effort being put into getting rid of alcohol in this state?
And cigarettes.
And cigarettes. I mean, if this is what we actually care about, and so I have a hypothesis.
Correct. If it's a public health issue, there are things in this state that are fully legal, just like we are, but they're fully legal that are killing people every year.
Would you say that it's because these industries have been lobbying for longer and they've donated way more money than our industry has because we're brand new? I mean, does that seem like a plausible explanation for why you're not going after
You're telling me
the
there's
alcohol?
political ulterior motives? They're financially backed?
I don't know.
Cynthia.
They always say follow
Come
the
on.
money. I mean, I don't know. Okay. We're gonna
Undermining the compassionate use program. You mean with their
Wait.
untrained doctors
Wait.
that literally have no idea what they're doing?
You said undermining the compassion, like you're like a radio announcer, and in my head, I was gonna do it. I was gonna say undermining. So we both had the same.
Undermining, Sunday.
Okay, we have a current list. Spasticity.
But also undermining the three companies. They're undermining.
Wait.
The state-sanctioned monopoly. Call it what it is.
The three companies, one of whom has 70% of the market. So essentially, we're undermining one company.
An entire industry
An
that employs
entire
50,000
industry.
people.
It also says, the first thing it says, CUP is highly regulated industry overseen by the Texas Department of Public Safety. These people, the TCUP program does, the companies in there do their own testing.
I have a better question for you. Can you tell me over here where it says that the medical program ensures that patients receive medical grade products and dosages? Anybody in the room, explain, anybody. Bueller? No, okay.
Oh, I want to talk about the interim hearing that I was there to be on the expert panel for.
No, you were not. Because despite the fact that it was a hemp hearing, you, as the CEO of the largest company in Texas, were not given an expert panel slot.
Well, to be fair, there was a discussion of it, and then it was subsequently removed.
Well, yes.
So let me ask you this. Who did they give expert panels to at the committee hearing about banning hemp? Because they didn't give any expert panel slots to hemp companies, so who did they give them to?
I think it was to that one company that has 70% of the market in Texas. It was a total setup.
It was
the whole
a joke.
thing.
The whole
but
thing
here's
was a
the
joke.
thing, and I think that this is important for marijuana patients, right? Medical marijuana patients, you should know that they're telling you that the largest medical marijuana company is financially not viable. It's unstable. And an entire other industry has to disappear for it to have a chance. As a medical marijuana patient, I urge you to explore options like hemp products.
Yeah, if you're a medical marijuana in the medical marijuana program, and it pains me to say this because I am pro cannabis, I'm pro kind of everybody. These are people that are actively trying to remove 50,000 jobs in Texas. They're trying to wipe out the entire hemp industry. They have made this an us against them. This is not a play-friendly thing. This is they want us gone. They want their state-sanctioned monopoly so they can be billionaires.
And also,
and potentially make some politicians very wealthy along the way.
and just to reiterate for the medical marijuana patients, you are not getting medical grade products or dosages because they don't exist.
Yes. And they're also federally illegal, the products they sell.
Oh yeah, you're
breaking the law.
You're breaking the law voluntarily.
If you have guns and you're in the Texas medical marijuana program, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Just something to be aware of.
Let's see here, dishes, yada yada. Okay, so here's what's interesting. Under the dishes section, it says their expert that they had on from dishes. He said that dishes, despite the lawsuits, still maintains that Delta-8 and other THC derivatives are controlled substances. Number one, that is an opinion, not a fact. So when you are an expert testifying on something, generally you're supposed to keep your opinion to yourself and stick to the facts. And it is not a fact because the DEA has come out on record and said Delta-8 is exempted from the controlled substances
Multiple
list.
times.
Multiple times. And all THC derivatives under the hemp definition are legal based on the overly broad definition given by the USDA. So, let's see here. He also said that dishes relies primarily on testing by manufacturers. It's required by law, so it's okay if they rely on it because it is required by law. And the Department of Agriculture field testing because THC testing costs are high. Okay.
It's not that expensive.
It
We
also-
do a lot of it. It's not that expensive.
Also, listen, I did a rough calculation, and if you only look at retailers, and let's pretend that the 8,000 number they love to throw around is correct, 8,000 retailers registered at $155 a pop is over $1.2 million a year. That is not including manufacturers and distributors. So please tell me why you don't have money for testing. Also, it says here that the testing program is on track to employ 12 people across the state in 2024. Given the staff, they have the ability to inspect all current manufacturers every 5 years. Are they planning on going out of state?
Well, if they can't,
Because there's not that many hemp manufacturers in Texas.
I also don't understand. So they can't do testing, but hiring people is going to allow them to do testing. These people don't do the testing. They have to send the product into a lab to get tested. I don't understand how hiring people is going to change the fact that they aren't.
Read my lips, baby. Word salad.
This is just nonsense.
Remember, the problem isn't to increase the budget, make the licensing fees more expensive to help pay for these
they already
things.
have millions. Let's be clear about that. With the almost 10,000 now registered hemp companies in Texas, DSHS has well over $1 million a year.
Yeah. It
well
seems
over.
like too much work. Throw our hands up. Let's just get rid of it. It's just too much work.
In fairness to Dishes, I did hear the guy. I heard the forensic scientist for the state in a different thing, not as part of this thing. I heard him giving a presentation, and he said Texas has ridiculously high numbers of fentanyl overdoses.
Yeah, there's billboards everywhere.
Apparently, Texas also has a ton of rapes and violent crimes. And he said, and I can find you the link to that video. He said that hemp prioritizes very, very low when you compare it against fentanyl deaths, rape kits, and all that. The state has prioritized or deprioritized hemp because there are so many bigger other issues that they need to deal with. That guy actually needs to be commended. Absolutely. Test the rape kit. You have to decide where you're going to put your testing priorities. Yeah, absolutely. Because he doesn't see a public emergency with hemp products. So by all means, address fentanyl and rape kits. There is no health emergency with hemp. And you are correct. Having a regulated, accessible market by adults does not allow, it doesn't give oxygen to an illegitimate, what do you call that? Cartel. No, not a cartel. What do you call
Black
it?
market.
Black market.
Okay, so if you take that 9,344 cannabis-related poison control calls number that they're saying was reported between 2019 and 2024, over 5 years, if you do 9,344 divided by 5 years, you get 1,869 divided by 365. They're saying they're averaging 5 cannabis-related poison control calls a day.
Those could all be medical marijuana products.
It could be anything.
Because it just says
what I'm saying is, I don't believe this number. They're saying 5 poison control calls a day relating to cannabis over 5 years, consistently, nonstop. That seems crazy high.
When I was back in the vape days, back in the good old bad days.
What I'm getting at is I think they're adding something else in there.
Well,
that number doesn't make sense.
Let me just break that down for you. So I had to do a presentation once, and it was with the guy from the American Pediatrics Association, and they get access to data before we do. And so the only thing I wanted to happen, the outcome I wanted from that presentation, that panel thing, was to not be that guy's bitch. And so I spent hours going through all the numbers and all the data, and when you took all the calls to poison control about vapes, and you took out the ones that were about, how do I open this package? How do I make it work? How do I turn it off? And all this other stuff, it went down from like 1900 something to 64.
Yeah, that's a number. That's a number I would believe. I don't believe that.
So just context. I don't know what
nonsense.
These numbers are. I'm just saying.
And by the way, these are people that have already proven to take numbers and bogus numbers and throw them out there and try and manipulate things and say all kinds of nonsense without backing it up with any data whatsoever.
Did you notice that we yell a lot?
I'm speaking passionately.
Cynthia, you also have that friend that works in an ER that says that they won't cop to.
My cousin works in an ER in California, and she said that people will come into the ER, and because marijuana is legal there, they will cop to being on THC.
Oh, that makes total sense.
But they will not cop to being on heroin, being on meth, being
you don't
on.
want to get in trouble.
Everything becomes and she's like, I know that tweaker is not on THC. She's like, I know what pot looks like.
100% believe that.
She's like, so they're saying that because they have to say something, and the nurses are the ones calling it into poison control. She's like, they never cop to any other drug except THC because it's legal in California.
I 100% believe that.
Again, context. I love that they're going to talk about how this THC 0.3% threshold is not based on clinical guidance, but somehow they think that doctors
some arbitrary made-up number.
Yeah, but somehow they think that doctors are highly trained on how to dispense cannabis.
None of the doctors in the TCUP program have any training whatsoever.
That's what I'm
None.
saying.
None. There is no training.
The youths.
Yeah, so this was a committee hearing for banning hemp, and literally they don't even talk about any of the testimony. Nothing. How many people spoke for hemp? There must have been 60.
Well, can
nothing,
I just say,
nothing in here about anybody from the hemp industry or the veterans.
that is why this report is so disappointing, right? Because this is literally a foregone conclusion. They said, or one person said, we're going to ban this, and then they provided a report months and months later that only supports that position.
They ignored everything else.
We had remember that giant box of testimony that we had to cart to the Capitol? They ignored every single piece of testimony that was submitted. They ignored all verbal testimony. I mean, Jacob Charles gave a remarkable testimony right there at the end. They ignored all of it. They ignored all the legal experts who spoke. None of that made its way into this report. For all we know, this report was already written before we had the hearing.
Yeah.
And they've just been sitting on it all this time.
Yeah, they just added in some notes from what people said.
Ah, the pain, the pain. Okay, I do want to talk about the DPS part of this. It says here, so this is section number 3. He said, talking about Mark Melson, a major for the Texas Department of Public Safety. He said that neither officers nor drug-sniffing canines are able to distinguish upon sight or smell between legal and illegal cannabis products. They're talking about marijuana flower. They're not talking about the finished goods in packages like we have and most of the industry has, right? They're talking about flower, but they don't make that distinction. So again, muddying the water, not presenting a clear case. I mean, look, it's super one-sided. As a constituent, you should be disappointed and almost enraged, actually, that this is the kind of report that gets put out. It's just, no context, one-sided, pushing an agenda.
Well, it's just embarrassing. These are people that are supposed to represent the citizens of Texas, and this is a joke. So like, this isn't representing the people that you're supposed to represent.
If your issue is that
I want my tax dollars back.
If your issue is that law enforcement can't tell the difference between legal and illegal flower, then address that, right? You don't lump everything together, because how is that a solution? Just like a ban is not a solution to the mythical 5-year-old kid.
This is not what Texans want. So any Texans out there, if you're part of the teacup program, leave it. This is the garbage that they're doing and trying to get rid of the hemp industry, trying to remove jobs from 50,000 Texans, lots of families, small-owned businesses. This is trash. Don't support these people.
Here's my other issue, and this is point number 5. And I'm not bringing it up, they brought it up. Nico Richardson said Texas Original Compassionate Cultivation is the largest operator within the teacup program.
It's the only operator.
He's their CEO, and he said that many hemp products, where's the line? Oh, stressed that they are dangerously unregulated. I've met this guy. He's crazy smart. This is a sharp guy. He knows they're regulated, but he testified before the Senate State Affairs Committee and said they were unregulated. Now, all those senators should also know.
He said that the cup is heavily regulated compared to the hemp industry. That is a lie.
He also says that compared to the hemp industry, the teacup program is less accessible, right? And it's unable to compete with hemp industry prices. And it's unable to provide all the different product formats that the hemp industry can.
I don't like my competition, so
I don't like my competition. Should I not be mocking Nico?
You can mock him. Nobody cares.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly. So again, one company is pushing, and listen, God bless, like this guy, he's a freaking genius. He got an entire state Senate Affairs Committee to do his bidding. I mean,
it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive.
Nico, to you,
they are well funded in their defense.
Listen,
they're very well funded.
He got an entire senatorial committee to do his bidding. Kudos, man.
Somebody's got equity somewhere.
Anyway, the recommendation is that they shut down the industry. Enjoy.
Not a surprising conclusion.
And I'm laughing not because the conclusion is funny. I'm laughing because it's so outrageous. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, as a Texan, I'm embarrassed that they handled it this way.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Wait, are you almost on the cusp of wishing you were back to being a Californian?
No, but this feels very California-esque.
This is totally California-esque.
I mean, just change it to California at the top.
This is the California
playbook. It's the same thing. It's literally the California
Texas,
playbook.
the Senate State Affairs Committee might as well be in California because they are doing exactly what California would do.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
We'll just call them the Cali crew from now on.
Yeah.
What do we expect the result of this report will be?
Well, the result is the same as if they hadn't issued the report. We're still going to fight that ban. I mean, we haven't.
Yeah, this doesn't change anything for us.
This doesn't change anything.
And luckily, the people that are anti-hemp are fairly isolated right now in the sense that there's a lot of politicians that understand the game's being played, and they are on our side. So we have a lot of allies. We have a lot of allies in the right places. This is essentially toilet paper. It means nothing.
Waste of tax dollars.
Waste of tax dollars. Waste of time. Waste of resources.
Well, I mean, listen. To be fair, there are some folks who may genuinely believe they're doing God's work, but the fact of the matter is that you have served no one by providing a one-sided, lopsided, clearly agenda-driven report.
Totally. Well, it's financially driven. I mean, it's crazy that Texans have shown time and time again they want access to these products. And for you to go against Texans, not just in that regard, but also costing 50,000 jobs. Like, okay, great. What are you going to replace these 50,000 jobs with if you want to get rid of this industry? Nothing? Oh, you're just going to let 50,000 people go homeless? Okay,
right into
that sounds
Nico's
wonderful.
Again, kudos to Nico. He got an entire State Affairs Committee, the Senate State Affairs Committee, to do his bidding. Got to respect that.
Yeah.
Joe, our wonderful creative genius here in the office, is doing these great little shorts called Don't Be a Marijuana Moron, and everybody should check them out.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for joining us as always, Lukas and Cynthia with Hometown Hero. Happy hunting. Our tax dollars at work, people.